Howdy folks, I'm Lamentable Lesanthius, listlessly lying on lush lawns.
I'm Amber.
And here are more lush lawns for us to lie to, because that's what we do here, we lie.
No, like you're lying on the lawn.
Yeah, we tell them falsehoods.
No, you're just populating the lawn.
Populating the lawn with lies. Let's get started. Oh, and folks, there is a live stream coming up on Friday. We hope to see you then. For more details, see the end of the video, please. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk? Because I told my ex-husband's son the truth about why we divorced and how he came to be. I'm a 45-year-old female and I used to be married to David, a 46-year-old male. We were together for 4 years and married for 5 years, from ages 18 to 27. I thought that the relationship was going well until I discovered that David was having an affair with Kathy, who was 25 at the time and is now 43. During that time, I collected evidence, consulted a divorce lawyer, and presented David with divorce papers. David did not protest and left me for Kathy as she was pregnant and I was having trouble conceiving. As the divorce proceeded, I discovered that I was pregnant. Through my moral judgment, I decided to keep the baby and have primary custody, as David was enamored with his new fling in Kathy. I would give birth to a healthy baby boy named Michael, and Kathy would give birth to a baby named Norman. David would initially deny paternity of Michael, but with a DNA test, it was proven that he is the father. The boys would grow up to become friends and have a solid relationship despite the tense nature of what transpired between David and me. Well, the boys are now 17 and entering their senior year of high school. Norman was over last weekend and seemed different, as his mood was sour and he seemed upset. Sitting down with him, I asked him what was wrong, and he appeared apprehensive at first. He opened up to me about some relationship problems that he had been going through. His girlfriend of 2 years had cheated on him, and he was having trouble dealing with the drawbacks of it. He asked me whether or not two individuals could reconcile after infidelity. I was honest with him and said it depended on the individuals, though it was often better if both parties just moved on, as the trust between the two had been broken and was not easily repaired. He seemed to take the answer in stride, but then asked me a question I wasn't sure that I was prepared for. Is that what happened between you and my father? I confirmed that it had, which is why David and I divorced. That his father had cheated on me with his mother, and that had resulted in his birth. He seemed conflicted and then responded, So it's all been a lie? I asked him about the statement, and apparently his father said that I cheated on him. I corrected him on that point and stated the reason for our divorce was infidelity on his part, and I had evidence for it. He thanked me for the conversation and then said he needed to go home as it was getting late. I wished him safe travels and thought nothing else of it until a few hours later when I received an angry phone call from Kathy blasting me for why she had argued with her son. He went home to have it out with his father over the situation, but he wasn't home yet and he couldn't wait. He had a very contentious verbal spat with Kathy, calling her some unpleasant names that I will not repeat. She is calling me a homewrecker, the irony of that statement, and I'm a jerk for poisoning the mind of her son. Am I the jerk for what I discussed with him? Edit, to clarify some answers and some common questions that I've seen. Norman and Michael know that they are half-brothers from a young age. I share custody with David, and he would have Michael on the weekends and some holidays. I added to clarify the relationship, as some were confused about how Norman didn't know that he had a brother, but he did. I never discussed with Norman the explicit details of why his father and I didn't work out, as it only came up in that particular conversation. I explained it to Michael at one point when he entered high school, and I asked him his opinion on myself at dating, and at this point he is getting older, but he has a relationship with his father to an extent and seems fine with it. This will be the last time that I update, as this post was meant to be a throwaway account and posting. Please take my experience as you will. Hopefully it may help or intrigue someone else. Alright folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. The parents should have been open and honest with him from the beginning.
Yeah.
To try and turn it around and spin like, oh, P's the one who did something wrong. First of all, it seems like that's not even a good strategy, because it sounds like Norman was probably born first.
Yeah.
And so just by simple logic, you can tell who was the cheater in this situation.
Yeah, well, it's difficult to know exactly how it transpired, because it would they would be very close in ages, but
Yeah.
OP could have been pregnant for longer, like, and just not known it.
I mean, that's true.
It's hard to say. Like, we don't know. We don't know who's older, and I don't think it really matters, but I think you're right that with the ages being so close, there's something kind of
It seems a
suspicious
little
about it.
sus. Like, and if they had actually, like, of course, if he probably didn't know, like, the date of the divorce, but, like, Norman was owed the truth about the circumstances of his birth.
Yeah.
Opie did nothing wrong by explaining that to him. And, yeah, his parents shouldn't have been garbage and lied to him.
Well, I think Norman probably was suspicious. And I think that's part of the reason why he got into this conversation is because he was suspicious. Because, again, like you said, things are a little weird with the birth of the son and the and his brother, right? Like, well, birth of Norman and Michael. Like, there's just such a close age gap. How does that even work, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I think that it probably already made him a little suspicious. But then this whole situation, I think, it also kind of speaks to the relationship that OP has with Norman, right? Because Norman didn't go to his mother about this, right? They went to OP for one reason or another, which means that they may not necessarily have that trust that they have with OP. So this may just be a long series of long drawn out conflicts that have been going on at home for a long time, and this is just the accumulation of it all. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Staggering Mediocrity says he's been poisoned with the truth, not the jerk. And Itchy Credit says he was poisoned with lies and he's detoxing on truth. Detox can be rough, but the end results are a healthier person. And I do actually want to actually talk about that point right there, right? If the truth makes you look bad, then maybe you are bad, right?
Yeah, like she's certainly done something wrong if she feels like she has to hide the circumstances of her son's birth in
Yeah.
this situation, you know. Yeah, and again, just the disgustingness that they would paint OP as a cheater to their son, who is close friends with OP's son.
Mm-hmm.
It just, I don't like what these people did.
Well, they had to have known that it was eventually going to come out, right? Did they think that they could just cover it up forever?
Apparently, I mean, they managed to get away with it for 17 years.
Yeah. And Writing is Freedom says, I guarantee you that the boy already knew. Born extremely close to his half sibling, and your mom and dad are divorced, but your dad and stepmom aren't? You won't remember me, says. Plus, mom and stepmom don't get along. Not hard to figure out, especially if/when the relatives are whispering behind closed doors and acting suspicious when the topic comes up. And Lois V25 says, not the jerk. The victim never has to stay quiet so the villain can save face. 2. Never let someone lie on you, especially when they're attacking your character. And 3. What is done in the dark always comes to light. And AITA is a drog says, and the audacity to cast her as a villain. She's the innocent person and wounded party. How dare they lie about her character? And she's supposed to stay quiet for what? She owes the kid the truth. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, My Pregnant Wife's Sister Offered to Sleep With Me. My wife is a 24-year-old female and I'm a 24-year-old male, and we've been together for 3 years and married for about 6 months now. We found out that we're going to be parents and we're both very excited. We told our families over the weekend and everyone was happy for us. This morning, I got a text from my wife's sister, a 21-year-old female, saying that she knows that women can be emotionally and physically abusive and can put a stop to intimacy during pregnancy, and that she is willing to help me out anytime sexually or emotionally during and after the pregnancy. Obviously, I have no interest in anyone other than my wife, but how do I tell her what the sister offered? My wife has always been there for her sister, and they have always been super close. Her sister was her maid of honor at our wedding. I don't want my wife to lose that bond, and it would destroy her if she found out that her sister was willing to betray her like that. At the same time, her sister is a snake and is willing to ruin our marriage and the life of her soon-to-be nephew/niece for what I'm guessing is a childish crush on me. My first priority is my wife and unborn child, and anyone else can go away. How do I approach the situation? There is literally no good outcome. I can tell my wife tonight and she will be absolutely devastated. I will always be there for her, and I know her parents will be there on her side as well, but losing a 20-year bond with their own sibling while in such a vulnerable state, it sounds terrible. How can I possibly tell my wife that her sister, that she loved and looked after for so many years, wanted to sleep with her husband while she was pregnant? If I don't tell her soon and tell her later, she may lose her trust in me. If I don't tell her at all, my wife will be close with somebody who clearly doesn't care for her and could easily betray her again in the future. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, I understand that she's put OP in a really bad situation, the sister has, but the only thing to do is to tell the wife and tell her sooner than later. As
Yeah.
soon as he has the opportunity, he should just take out his phone, show her the message, and be like, I'm really sorry to be the one to share this with you, but I think you need to know what your sister has been doing and explain whatever steps he took to shut this down. I mean, it's going to hurt the wife, but it's going to hurt less to learn it now than if he keeps it a secret and she finds out down the road and thinks that he might have wanted something with her sister.
Yeah, it is an unenviable position that OP has been put into. Like, there is no winning here. Anything that OP does, it's going to hurt. And it's going to hurt his wife, and that's really what it boils down to.
But
I don't. Oh, sorry?
I was going to say, but the important thing to keep in mind is that OP is not the one causing her the pain. It's the sister who's
Yeah,
betrayed her.
exactly. This
Oh,
isn't OP's fault.
yeah.
So I think, like what Amber is saying, if he doesn't come out now and he waits, then it's only going to be worse because she's going to be like, well, why didn't you tell me sooner? And I can understand OP's hesitation with wanting to tell his wife because, again, no one wants to be the bearer of bad news. No one wants to be the person saying, oh, look, by the way, your sister has some questionable behavior right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if this is the end of the relationship with the sister entirely. I think that maybe they can sit down and talk with her and have a discussion with her, and maybe this is just a very short-sighted position, and maybe this is just very short-sighted of the sister. Maybe she has a crush and she has done something that isn't necessarily great, but I don't know. I mean, I think that this is going to be really up to OP's wife.
Yeah, I don't see any way that works out well. I cannot imagine trusting someone who sent my partner that kind of a message. But I mean, it shows she has so little regard for her sister. When her sister is, in a vulnerable situation, to be like, yeah, why don't you just come see me during and after the pregnancy? Like, she's willing to completely upend her sister's life to get what she
Oh
wants.
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that she's being good in this situation. I think she should probably go and seek some counseling and try to understand why she is having these kinds of feelings, and hopefully she can reconcile something here. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And head photographer 9572 says, sorry dude, you have to tell your wife tonight, otherwise your sister-in-law is going to twist it and try to make it look like this was your idea. And Daylily61 says, exactly 100%. Key, show your wife the text. It is proof that your sister was hitting on you, not the other way around. It will also show your wife that you are not hiding anything and not attempting to hide anything. I don't think that you can avoid hurting your wife at all in this situation, but you can at least minimize any hurt by being open and honest with her. And if she asks you why you didn't show her sister-in-law's texts as soon as you read them, tell her the truth about that too, that you didn't know how to handle it, and that you didn't want the situation to hurt or worry her. Keep this in mind going forward, as a general rule, not a specific one, but most of the pain inflicted by this kind of situation will be spared by partners trusting each other and being open with them about anything. Think about that. How would you feel if 5 or 10 years from now you found out that your best friend was repeatedly making passes at your wife? And even if he wasn't doing it anymore, would that make any difference to the way that you felt about her? Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling an Ex-Friend's Mother that I thought her family legacy was homewrecking? Me, Kathy, and Maya, fake names, were college roommates. We are all now in our early 30s. Kathy got divorced 2 years ago because she caught her husband cheating with Maya. The stress was a lot, and she also miscarried violently and was in the hospital for a month and suffered from a psychological breakdown. Maya was apparently too ashamed to even visit Kathy or apologize in person, and our entire friend group cut her off. Kathy's ex moved to another city, and no one kept contact with him. Throughout the entire time that I've known Maya, her personality was being the affair baby. She was spoiled rotten by her mom, who was her dad's mistress and has no remorse for it. Her very rich dad paid for her college flat, bought her a house, and covered her in money because he felt guilty that she had come from a broken home. Maya, however, kept complaining about how she grew up poor. Her mom is a PR manager and earns a lot, and how we wouldn't know how her life was growing up like her. We felt very sorry for her, and both me and Kathy babied her a lot. Maya's mom, Lisa's fake names, actually defended her daughter when the affair came to light, and told everyone that it was not her daughter's fault. Throughout these last 2 years, Lisa has tried and failed to get Maya back with her friends. And Lisa has lost a lot of friends and relatives in the process because no one wants to associate with them. Here's the issue. Our alma mater has a very tight alumni network. Maya's actions resulted in no one being willing to be a reference when she wanted to change jobs. Our batch comes together every year to organize a bake sale for a charity that we worked during undergrad. Maya was unofficially banned since last year, since no one wants a scene. This year, however, Maya and her mom turned up with cupcakes, lots of them. Neither I nor my husband looked or talked to them. Kathy left as soon as they arrived, and I was seething. Lisa was then saying how these cupcakes are a family recipe and it's kind of their legacy. I asked her, really? I thought your family legacy was homewrecking. Maya turned red, and both she and her mom excused themselves and left with the cupcakes. Whatever, later, one of the old classmates told me that he understood where I was coming from, but it might have been too rude. Lisa texted me from a new number, her number is blocked, on how I am a sexist person who only blames women. I told her that as Kathy's lawyer, I bled her ex dry in the divorce, and hopefully her daughter would have a genuine relationship someday with someone else's husband. Lisa called me a B and hung up. My husband thinks that I'm right, but 2 more classmates have told me that I was too harsh, and I'm now doubting myself. Am I the jerk? Edit, Lisa texted me, then called me when I replied. I didn't add that bit in the paragraph. Alright, folks, what do you think?
I mean, I don't think Opie was a jerk. Maybe it wasn't the nicest thing to say, but they've been really, like, the lack of remorse here is very concerning. The way they just want to brush things under the rug. They don't care about the person they hurt. Kathy had to get up and leave it entirely because she was so uncomfortable being around Maya, and Maya just doesn't care. She just wants to be enveloped back in the fold like she didn't do something really rotten to someone who used to be a good friend of hers.
I think that OP was slightly in the wrong with their statement. And the reason why is because if OP is a lawyer, then they also have to be a professional. And if they represented someone else in this point in time and they were involved in the situation, I think that they need to have a degree of professionalism and approach it from that perspective. And I mean, I know that that isn't necessarily I think that, again, they were a little too close to this case to begin with to even take on someone as a client in that. And so I don't know that that was necessarily a good idea, especially if they were from a legal standpoint, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say about taking the case or not taking the case. That's, aside from the point, I think. But I'm going to say not the jerk in this case because lawyers, on their own private time as private citizens, are allowed to express their opinions. I don't feel like just because you have a certain job, with maybe a few exceptions, you have to always be professional and always act like you're on the job.
Well, I think that this is I think in general, if OP had said this to a stranger, it would have been fine. But because she's close to the case and close to the whole thing, it kind of bleeds into that professionalism. So, I mean, I think if this had been to somebody who she hadn't represented ex-husband, then that would have been a little bit of a different situation because she would then not be like related to a case or anything like that. And I think also if Lisa can collect evidence that maybe she's biased or something like that, then there could be some nasty legal recourse that Lisa could take against OP. So I don't know. I don't think that OP is doing themselves any favors here.
Oh yeah, I'm not commenting on the case or anything because that's not my area of expertise. But I just want to focus on as a private citizen.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's allowed to make remarks about the situation.
And that's fine. I mean, I'm not saying that. I agree with you in that respect. I mean, I think that she should be able to make her own comments, and I just think that there's just a little bit here that kind of puts OP, in my opinion, in a little bit of a bad spot. And I understand them being upset with the whole situation. I mean, this person did a lot of harm to their friends group. And it doesn't seem like she's apologized. It doesn't seem like she's gone out of her way to try to reconcile. She just kind of pops up one day and expects everyone to just accept her back into the group without doing any kind of the real work that's needed in order to repair these kinds of relationships. Not that I expect she would be able to do that anyways.
And the mom's like here cheering her on.
Mm-hmm. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has something from Jovial Bob Sign, and I won't call it a joke, but I will say that she'll read it.
Mike, I went to Switzerland on my vacation. Mick, really? What did you think of the scenery? Mike, oh, I couldn't see much. There were all these mountains in the way.
There were a lot of mountains in the way in Switzerland, and it was also full of holes. They were Swiss cheese mountains. Because he didn't really go to Switzerland. He just went to a cheese factory.
I mean, that sounds like a fun vacation right there.
Amber's like, yeah, sign me up for the Swiss cheese factory. And I have Earl Grey. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy, wonderful Wednesday, Hump Day, Friday, Junior's Eve. And folks, we have a live stream coming up on Friday. We hope to see you then. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please have it on the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Okay then. If telling the truth makes you look bad, then maybe reflect on your actions and don't do that kind of thing again.
I think that works. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.